Okay, guys, welcome back. This is 3.3, the money manager's process, automating the process and staying motivated. The most effective way to manage money with the least human intervention. So I want to start off with what I want you guys to take away from this video. I want you guys to know what's important, why it's important to to intervene as least as possible. What you need in order to master automation, and where human intervention is necessary. But before we begin, disclaimer: the financial information contained in this video is for informational purposes only and not for the purpose of providing specific financial advice. You should contact a financial advisor to obtain specific financial advice. So, we are getting through the basic money management series, and we're at 3.3, automating the process, the money manager's process. So if you guys haven't seen this before, definitely go back to one of the first 3 videos. There's a lot of really good content. It covers why we're doing the money management, why we're doing the money manager's process, and what you guys need to do to effectively do the process. So definitely go back to part 1 of the money manager's process and part 2 to get a good idea of the prior steps. So what we're going to do here is we're going to talk about step 5, automating your money manager's process. So before we do that, you guys probably heard me use the term autonomy, automation, automating a process about 5 or 6 times at this point. And one of the main things that goes into automation is understanding why we do it. So what I want you guys to do now is I want you guys to pick up something like, let's say it's a pen or a pencil, or it could literally be anything right next to you. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to pick up that pen or a pencil and then put it down. Now, what I want you guys to do is I want you to do that 1,000 times. I don't want you to do that 1,000 times. But the general idea is what you may notice if you had to do that 1,000 times is that it's incredibly tedious, very repetitive, and incredibly boring. And that's one of the problems with managing money, because some of the processes that you're going to do are going to be very basic. They're not going to be all that difficult, but they're going to be tedious. And what we're going to do with the automation step is to take all those processes away from you and to put something else in charge of it, so that you can focus on something that requires more human intervention. So what we're going to do is we're going to use computers in order to do that. The main reason is because a computer can do a basic process more accurately with repeated success over a longer period of time than any human being, even if they are incredibly diligent. The main reason is because a human being would have to have the mathematical skill and also have the diligence in order to do it. So anyone who doesn't have that kind of skill, they're not gonna benefit from it. That's what we're going to have computers for, because computers are great with calculations, gathering information, and performing basic functions. But there's a couple things that computers are incredibly bad at. One of the things that a computer does poorly is they're undeniably bad at making basic decisions. That's where you need human intervention. Us as humans, we can make decisions. Whether we choose to or not is a completely different story. We're still better at making decisions than your run-of-the-mill computer. And one of the things that goes into it is the fact that a computer normally assumes that all the information that was given is true, and they have to be prompted in order to self-correct. So a computer, we're just going to think of it as a tool that helps assist human beings in making decisions faster. So keywords: tool, assist, and faster. Now, when it comes to a computer can't replace human decision making. It can only be used in order to make those decisions faster, and that's essentially all they can do. And they cannot adjust or adapt to changes. The only way a computer can adjust or adapt to changes is when it's given instructions on how to adapt to those changes. So when you're thinking about a computer has information and it also has instructions, and it manipulates whatever information is given depending on whatever the instructions are. So if for some reason it cannot manipulate a piece of information, data, well, that's multiple pieces of information. So I guess I would say datum, but that's another story completely. I won't bore you. I won't bore you guys with that. But it has to manipulate the data in some way, and if it can't do that, then it'll just stop completely. And the only way of solving that is for someone like a human to understand what went wrong, and then readjust whatever instructions the computer is given in order to handle whatever changes. But see, that's not as intuitive as just me telling someone to do something a certain way, and that's what's really important for us to understand. If you guys have ever created a computer program, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Where like they're very basic, they're actually pretty stupid. They're really good at making computations, but when it comes to making decisions, they can't do it. That's the reason why you're gonna have human intervention when you're talking about any sort of computer or computer process. So what we're going to do here is we're going to automate parts of the money manager's process. So what you're going to see on the left-hand side is all of the steps that can be automated. And on the right-hand side, you're going to have all of the steps that require human intervention. So what you guys are going to see on the left is the first one, the 0 step, gathering information. A lot of the information that you're going to gather, usually you can go online and find wherever it is. Now, for the first step, if you guys remember 3.1, one of the things that I said was you can find all the stuff you need to create for the worst practical case income or worst practical case expense. You can find whatever you need online in order to create both. And for the third step hinges on the second step, and that's where we actually put a quantifiable value on whatever goals you have set. On the fifth step, this is the actual automation of the process. And the sixth step, and this is the monitor and verification. So this is pulling information from the rest of the process in order to figure out what your progress is. Now on the right side, remember the right side is all the stuff that requires human intervention. So setting goals and aspirations. Understand, even if you manage your money doesn't know ultimately what you want to do in life, and it can't tell you. You have to tell it what you want to do, and you're going to have to fight your limbic system in order to do this. So when I'm talking about limbic system, this is actually behavioral economics. We're going to get into that. Definitely recommend you guys see the behavioral economics series. That one's got really good information to it as well. Of course, I'm also kind of biased. But the next thing we're going to talk about is step 4, which is making necessary adjustments. So a computer can tell you it could tell you how much money you would need in order to fix the problems, but it can't tell you exactly how to do that. It's up to you to figure out what you need to do in order to fix that problem. Now, step 5 also have automating on this side. That could be a bit confusing. Just understand this is you giving instructions in order to automate the process. So this is you setting up the automation step. Okay, so then we have step 6, and this is the most vital and the most important one, and that is staying motivated. And honestly, it's the hardest thing to do because in this step, it hinges on the first part, which is monitor and verifying. So once you have the information, interpreting what you need to do, and if you're on track to going closer to whatever your goals are. So now what I want to talk to you guys about is I want to talk to you guys about the part of the money management process that can be automated. So in order to do it, what you have to do is you have to be able to track whatever information that you need. And in order to track whatever information that you need, there's a couple different ways that you can do it. One of the old school ways of doing it is to take pen and paper and a calculator, and I call it old school because so long as you have all the information, you literally can do all of the calculations that you need by hand. And for some people, if that's the way that you want to do it, my I would say do it to your heart's content. The next one is for people who have a little bit of savvy with Microsoft Excel. I'm not talking about pivot tables, but setting up spreadsheets. I put Microsoft Excel because Microsoft Excel is the most common one that you guys probably have come across. But that one, as long as you have the information, you can input it into Microsoft Excel, and then you just set up whatever calculations you need in order to figure out whatever range you have, and then Excel will pretty much do the rest. The next one is a money management tool like Mint.com. Now, I recommend this for everybody who has online banking. And what Mint.com does, which is actually pretty cool, is it's a free service. You go on, you set up an account, and then you hook up your bank account information and your credit card statements. Essentially, what Mint.com does is it keeps track of all of the debits and credits to your account. Now, debits and credits is a technical term for any money that comes into an account and any money that goes out, where a debit is money that comes in and a credit is money that goes out. I'm pretty sure that should be a sufficient enough example of what debits and credits are. If there's any accountants listening to this and I've messed up, I do apologize in advance, so you know that I do pay homage to the fact that I could be wrong with that. But the next one on the list is going to be an account or bookkeeping software like QuickBooks. And one of the things that QuickBooks does is similar to Mint.com, but I think what QuickBooks is it's a lot better at tracking different debits and credits and also segmenting it. I think it does a greater job of segmenting a lot of your expenses than what you would see on Mint.com. But I think Mint.com is definitely good for those of you guys starting out and managing your money. The last one is a professional or professional software. So a professional would be someone like an accountant, going through your account, seeing how you're spending money, or maybe a bookkeeper. A bookkeeper is definitely good for someone who's wealthy, though the wealthy tend to have bookkeepers, and I think everyone should ultimately have a bookkeeper. But that's also going to depend on your finances. If you want to get to the point where you are wealthy, a bookkeeper could definitely help you and keep you accountable in order to do it. And there's also professional software that actually works better than QuickBooks. So now we're going to get into a scenario, and the scenario that we're going to put is a nurse, and the nurse is named Natalia. So if you guys know me, then you guys know that I have a stepsister called Natalie. And I wanted to show her a little bit of love here, so I decided to do a nurse, and I wanted to put her name on it. So Nat, if you're watching this, yes, this is inspired by you. I have none but love for you. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna get into the example. Now, we have the nurse making $3,100 per month. She's going to get paid bi-monthly instead of bi-weekly. She's also going to be an employee for a large hospital. We're going to say that her taxes are $600 a month. She has a mortgage of $47,000 and a payment of $400. She has $6,000 in student loan and $60 a month. She has a $5,000 car and is costing $100 per month. She has credit cards worth a credit card debt of $3,000, and that's going to cost her $90 a month. She has retail debt, so these are store cards and charge cards for $1,000, and that's going to be $50 a month. And she's also going to have all of her other necessary expenses totaling $710. So what we're going to do now that we have all of the information is we're actually going to do the income allocator. So remembering that her income is $3,100 per month, we have housing at $930, accounting for 30%. Now, other necessary expenses are going to follow suit at $930. Debt service is going to be $620, and leisurely should be $310, leaving investing for $310 as well. Now, her actual allocation is going to be $400 for a mortgage, which is going to be 12.9% or 13%. She's also going to have all other necessary expenses being $1,310, accounting for 42.3%. She's going to have a debt service of $300, which is going to be 9.7%. She's going to have leisurely expenses of $400, which matches the housing expenses. So that's going to be 12.9%. And that's going to leave her with a payday of $690. And that is going to account for 22.3% of her income. So we have total expenses of $2,410, accounting for 77.7% of her income. So for this, we're gonna assume that she's gonna go through the process. So Natalie, I don't know if you want to do this or not, but like if you do, call me and let me know, girl. But we're gonna assume that she's going through the process, and being that she's living off less than 90% of her income, she is at financial stability. So now what we're going to do is we're going to segment it into her two paychecks. So her two paychecks are going to be $1,550 each. And what you guys see is you're going to see all of her expenses, and towards the bottom, what I also have is I also have the total that each of the expenses that she's going to pay out of each paycheck and what payday she can hope to get afterwards. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go through how to automate her first paycheck. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that she gets direct deposit. And we already said that she's an employee, so she's going to get her taxes withheld before she even receives the check. She's also going to pay her mortgage payment. We're going to have that on automatic bill pay, and that is going to be with the first paycheck altogether. We're going to have her car payment on automatic bill payment, as well as half of her student loan. Now, for all other necessary expenses, I have semi-auto pay because some of her necessary expenses are going to be able to be put on automatic payment. But for something like gas and groceries, you can't necessarily do that. So that's the reason why it's semi. The next one is leisurely. Now, what we're going to do is what you guys see there is I have it on automatic transfer. The reason why I have it on automatic transfer is because what you guys should be doing is you guys don't necessarily have to have a separate bank account, but I do recommend it, and to have a basic another account so that you can do things like just uh just regular spending. And then we have a total at the bottom, so this is going to total 1385, and that's going to leave us with a payday of $165. Now, what I have next to that is I have keep as an account buffer. So what we're going to do is we're not going to be entirely sure that anything can happen. So by having that account buffer, we always have some amount in the account so that it doesn't overdraft. Now on the second paycheck, you guys are going to see that essentially what we're going to do here is pretty much the same as what we did before. With the mortgage payment taken out of this one, we're going to essentially do pretty much the same. So it's going to be direct deposit into the account. Taxes are going to be withheld, and then we're going to pay for the credit card, student loan, and the retail debt. And once again, all other necessary expenses are going to be semi-automatic for gas and clothing and food for whatever she needs. And we're also going to have her leisurely taken out of the account so she doesn't commingle those funds with any funds that she has for her necessary expenses. And that's going to give us a total of $1,025. So that means she's going to have a payday of $525. Now, we're gonna in this one, what we can do is we can assume that her entire account buffer is gone, in which case we're going to use $165 of that and use that as an account buffer. And for the rest, we're going to put that into a brokerage account. Now, the reason why I say a brokerage account and not a regular savings account is because for a regular savings account, being that it's right next to your check, it's attached to your checking account. Sometimes it can, as far as behavior is concerned, it's essentially the same thing as if it were in the same account. So what I want to do here is I want to separate her from her money into a vehicle where it would take 1 to 3 days for her to get it back, so that it adjusts her behavior when interacting with said money. So now that we changed up her behavior and she's not going to be actively involved, one of the things that we want to talk about is her change in roles. So one of the things that she's going to do now is she's going to ensure that there's an account buffer at all times. So she has to make sure that there's enough in the account so that her account doesn't get overdrafted. Now, another thing that she's going to do is she's going to make sure that each payment hit the account at the very least every week. She's looking to make sure that, okay, so this is supposed to come out on the 3rd, so I'm going to make sure that hits. It's supposed to come out on the 15th, so I got to make sure that hits at the very least weekly. You can do this every day. It really depends on you. Now, she's going to separate necessary funds from leisurely guilt-free spending, and that's because typically when you commingle funds, what ends up happening is you could inadvertently spend your necessary expense money on guilt-free spending, and that's not what we want to do. And the last thing that she wants to do is she wants to troubleshoot any potential problems that could arise with the account. Okay, so that is the most that I can do as far as the automation part. What I want to do with you guys now is I want to talk to you guys about the parts of money management that require human intervention. So let's move on to step 6. Once again, this is the most important part, guys. So if you guys have been paying attention, I want to thank you for doing so. And you're actually at the end of the money management series. Congratulations. So the part that I want to talk to you guys about first is the monitoring and verifying process to the money management process. And there's a couple different reports that you're going to need in order to do it. One of the most important ones is going to be the weekly report. So this is a weekly budget, and it shows you whatever your account balance is and the total expense paid. It also tells you how much debt paid, if any debt was paid. It also tells you how much was put in the savings, if anything was put in the savings. And one of the other things that it does is it just shows you how well you're managing your money on the weekly basis. Now, the pay period reports. This is for people who get paid. Let's say bi-weekly or monthly, depending on what you get paid. That's when you're going to use this. So for anybody who gets paid weekly, congratulations, your pay period and your weekly report are going to be one and the same. So for that, we're going to have a lot of the basic information. Your pay period report has to have your income. So this isn't your account balance, the amount that was in your account. This is the amount that you got paid and the total expenses paid throughout the pay period. It's also going to have whatever you paid for debt and whatever you placed in savings. So the monthly report is going to be slightly different than the prior two. What that's going to have is that's going to have your worst practical case income and your worst practical case expense. This is also going to have your debt service and your rate for savings. So whatever you set aside in savings or investing or whatever other purposes you chose to, that is going to be the rate, the percentage of whatever income you have. We're gonna have that in this report. So if you guys know, when I was talking about the worst practical case expense and worst practical case income, I told you guys that you have to go back 3 months. So the 3-month figure is going to be the quarterly report. So what you guys are going to do every quarter is, for every quarter, you're going to have a quarterly report, and that one's going to have a revised income and expense for the worst practical case. And the reason why you're going to do that is because this allows some fluctuation in your budgets in order to account for different changes. So for some of you guys listening to this, you guys may be only getting income from a specific source for maybe, let's say, nine months out of the year. So one of the problems that we're going to run into is if you're using something from when you didn't get paid and when you did get paid, or you're getting paid more money, that is a spot for mismanaging your money, and that's not something that we want to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at your worst practical case income and expense. We're also going to see how much you owe in debt, and we're going to look at your debt service. So if you guys remember, debt service is the minimum due to keep an account current. So if you have a $25 payment on a credit card, then your debt service for that credit card is $25. We're also going to take your savings rate to see how much you saved in the past 3 months, and we're also going to observe your progress towards getting to wherever your goals were. Now, for the most important part. Now, this is staying motivated. Staying motivated is the most vital part to this. And one of the reasons why it's the most vital is because it's the easiest to fall off on, and it's the hardest to do consistently. Now, once you automate the process, you're going to notice that there's a shift in your attention. And that's because the role that you played when you were actively paying bills, it's going to change. And one of the things that's going to be easy to happen is it's going to become easy to not do any one of these steps. It's going to be very easy to not create your weekly report. And I got to tell you, me specifically, I've fallen off on that too. So it's not the easiest to do. So you definitely have to watch out for that. And you're going to notice that your awareness is going to change. Now, one of the things about your awareness is once you actually have this down, you may notice like, hey, this isn't as difficult as I thought, and this isn't as scary as I envisioned that it would be. And that's very important. And just understand, the most important thing that you want to do here is you want to take your focus off of some of the basic things that you're going to be paying for from day to day, and you want to focus on other aspects of personal finance. When you have this freedom, and you don't have to go from paying for everything. Oh, what's gonna end up happening is you're going to have more time to think about things like retirement, and think about things like vacations and all the stuff that you want to do in life that you're not necessarily thinking about. And like I said before, usually people get caught up on step one, and they don't go through the rest of this process. And by you going through the rest of this process, you see what the point of money management is. And it's not necessarily to make sure that all of your bills are paid on time, because there may be times where that's not gonna happen, and we have to pay homage to that. But what we are doing is we're changing your focus from just, oh, I don't know how much I get, I don't know how much I'm paying in expenses, to, okay, so this is how much I'm getting, this is how much I'm spending, so this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to set this up and just do the process. And that's one of the things that we want to do. I want you guys to stay motivated. This is not easy. Not everyone can do it. I think Evan Pagan said it best. We are not wired for money, and that is very much so true. So I would definitely want to thank you guys for watching this video the entire way through. Thank you so much. I hope you guys got a lot of value from it. So that's all I got for you guys. So if you guys like the video, hit the thumbs up. And if you want more personal finance tutorial, hit subscribe and receive notification whenever I upload new ones. So leave in the comments. I want you guys to tell me, how do you guys feel about a computer doing your... I apologize for that. I actually made it through the entire video without coughing. I've actually been sick, but tell me what you guys think of about a computer doing your basic job in money management. And I also want to tell you.